lot of people are looking for change in their lives. They're looking for better relationships, or even a good relationship to begin with. People are looking for better jobs. They're looking for a way forward. They're wondering what's the future hold for them. They hear all kinds of empty advice, like live in the now, find your why, and none of it really means anything because there's no, it's kind of like putting somebody in the middle of a bridge and saying, okay, well, here, now you can just walk to the end. But how do you even find the bridge? How do you even get started? So life provides 24 ingredients, and when we know these, then we can sort out anything that we want in life. Like, for example, people say, well, you have to be inspired, you have to be motivated. Well, that's wonderful, but motivation, inspiration, confidence, they all come as a result of something. They don't, you don't motivate yourself to do something, you don't force yourself into something, you don't cause yourself to do something. That comes from within. And when we feel inspired, then we're already on the way. But what's that step before feeling inspired? So in the natural thought process, which is the fourth one of 24 life ingredients, the natural thought process starts with observation. Now, these are not complicated things. These are things that we're born with. This is what we did as kids. These are things that everybody can know and should know, but is forgotten because we've been trained into this society of work hard and put your nose to the grindstone, all this nonsense, instead of being in touch with our feelings. How many people now live in a belief that our feelings are unreliable, and yet, on the other side, the people that are the most successful with following their feelings, trusting their gut instinct, are the people that are admired. So when we realize that our feelings are our guide point and that the natural thought process is the starting point for observation, so we observe the world around us, and as we see things, then we can observe how we feel about that. Do we feel inspired? Do we feel negatively inspired? Do we feel positively inspired? Let's say we have an interest in collecting stamps, just anything, it can be anything, replace stamps with whatever your thing is. And so now we start to observe things about that. I would say, oh, that's interesting, that's something I find. So now we start to observe more, but then after a short bit of observation, we see, well, yeah, it's not really that interesting, and it's really not that what I thought it was. So those are negative inspirations. There's nothing wrong with that. Now we could take those negative inspirations and put them aside and say, okay, well, those are the negatives, what are the positives? And we could look towards that. Or we could use that negative inspiration and just say, okay, so that's stamp collecting is not for me. But if that's not for me, then what is? And just your desire of wanting to know what you want to do is enough, because that feeling that you have within you is enough for the universe to bring into alignment other things that are going to be in alignment with what you feel. So now if you crash into that curb of that negativity and you say, okay, well, I'm not ever going to find anything that I like and I'm not going to be able to do anything, well, you can go down that negative path and the universe will provide you more negative to view that way, and you can find all the things that are wrong with the world, and you can go into anxiety and depression and even to suicide by following those negative feelings the wrong way. Now, if you use those negative feelings like the curb on a roadway, then to guide you, then you'll go back to the smooth paved part, and you're going to be having all kinds of positive inspirations. You're going to observe things that are more in alignment with what inspires you. So, as we're inspired, as we observe more, and as we become more and more inspired, eventually we become unstoppably inspired, and we've found that elusive why. Once we've observed so many things and we're so inspired about doing something, we'll know why we want to do it. We don't need lists, we don't need anything to move us forward on that, because along with finding our why comes confidence in the same level. So if we find only a little bit of inspiration, then we'll only have a little bit of motivation and we'll only have a little bit of confidence. But if we observe enough about what we're going to do or what we're interested in, then we get the same level of confidence, the same level of inspiration, and the same level of self-worth as we move through this. So the natural thought process is a very simple tool, but it starts with just knowing to observe the world around us, and then observe how we feel about what we're seeing, knowing that the universe is always on our side. The universe is always bringing things into alignment for us that are in alignment with what we feel. So, for example, you may have noticed that if you're looking to buy a car, and then you've picked out a particular brand or model, and all of a sudden you see all kinds of them on the road, whereas before you didn't even notice them. And that's the way it works with everything. So the universe aligns itself to how you feel. So it's important for you to know how you feel. So now let's look at another aspect. People talk about living in the now. Now that sounds good, but what does it actually mean, and what's the purpose of it? So when we're living in the now, that means we're present to how we feel. So do we like what we're feeling? Do we like this, or do we want something different? Now, if we go to the very first life ingredient number one, what is life, then we understand that, and actually I'm going to back up a second here. Think for yourself, what is life? What do you have, in 10 seconds, can you tell me what it is? And most people can't, because they come with some fluffy description that doesn't actually serve any purpose. But if I asked you what a car is, you'd say, yeah, it's a vehicle, 4 wheels, motor, it takes you from A to B. And I can say, okay, that's useful, I can use that. But when you talk about life and about all the theoretics of it without any practical sense for it, then how are we supposed to move forward? And yet we live life every day, and most people can't actually define it in a way that's useful to them. So take a look at this. Life is a series of connected and related experiences. So from before we're born to we die, it's a series of connected and related experiences. Not only that, but there's micro experiences, which we have thousands of every day, and there's macro experiences. So our macro experience of yesterday was created by all the micro experiences that collected together to create that. A macro experience doesn't happen by itself. It's not all of a sudden, bang, there was yesterday, it's over and done, and now there's today. It goes second by split second by split second, and micro experience by micro experience. And we get to observe all those micro experiences if we're present to them. So living in the now, if we're present to what's happening. So for example, if we're present to this conversation, then we're going to be getting more out of it than if we're off thinking about something else. If our mind is busy overthinking, then we're not open to the new things that can come in. Now that's a whole nother topic altogether, thinking and thoughts, where most people are very confused about. People lay awake at night overthinking, but we'll get into that another time. For the moment, as we live in the now, as we're present to how we feel about all the micro experiences, and we say, okay, I don't like the way I wake up, I don't like the way my breakfast is, I don't like the way that the day runs, I don't like, and we can adjust all of that. And if we're making small adjustments all the way along, then we don't have to arrive at a point where we say, I hate my life, I don't like any of it, but I got to make this major change. Because as we now know from the micro and macro experiences, the macro experiences don't happen like that, so change isn't going to happen like that, that big kind of change. So in order to get the change that you're looking for in life requires that we start living now, paying attention to each of the micro experiences that make up our days, and start to sort out, I don't like that, I'm going to do that differently. If I don't like the way I wake up in the morning, I'm going to go to bed at night with different thoughts. So because I know that if I'm inspired about something, it's going to be a lot easier to get up than if I'm not inspired. So if I'm having difficulty getting up, then why? What is it about my life that I'm not inspired about? What can I observe that's going to inspire me so that I'm unstoppably inspired, so that I'm getting up before my alarm clock? Now we have control over all of that. So when we pay attention to what life actually teaches us, life provides all these ingredients for everybody, and there's 24 of them. So if you'd like to learn more about the power of your mind, about thoughts, thinking, conscious, subconscious, feelings, and how to use all of these things to create a better life for yourself, then start by going to mylifesoup.com, do the self-test there, and if you can spare the $100, take the first hour of coaching and discover what a big difference just an hour of coaching can make in your life towards understanding life. And when you do that, your life improves, and you'll find that you're much happier because you're in control, and you'll find that life isn't random. It isn't luck. It's that when you know where the light switch is, you can turn it on, the room is bright, and you don't go stumbling over the furniture. But that's the way a lot of people live life. They're in the dark about what life is. They can't even describe what is life. And then they wonder why life is so miserable, why their relationships don't work out, why they keep going through the same circle of problems over and over, not realizing that they've got their subconscious on autopilot. There's so many small steps, but once you master them, then you're in control of your life. And for many people, they enjoy this so much of the power that they gain and the improvements that they get in their lives, that they look at our Earn While They Learn coach training experience and become life coaches in this. Because there's nothing stronger than having mastery over the 24 life ingredients. I'm John Verway, and I look forward to meeting you.